Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. People's Democratic Party leaders ask international community to intervene and save the country's democracy, submit protest letters to UK and US embassies in Abuja. All Progressives Congress National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole dismisses PDP's call, insists opposition party does not have monopoly of protests. Southeast governors seek to establish regional security outfit like Operation Amotekun, conveying tensions to federal government and military authorities. And Britain formally exits the European Union with an 11-month transition period. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms, Apple TV, Android TV, Fire, and Roku TV. Now let's go over to our Abuja studios where Linda Akigwe has some more stories. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Millicent. Now we turn our attention to health matters now. As the World Health Organization lists Nigeria as one of the 13 high-risk African countries for the coronavirus, the federal government says measures have been put in place to contain its importation into the country. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Hanire, offered this reassurance in Abuja at a coronavirus interministerial and multi-sectoral preparedness and response meeting. According to the minister, Enugu, Kano, Rivers and Lagos states, as well as the Federal Capital Territory hosting international airports, have been put on red alert to quarantine all persons suspected of exhibiting the symptoms.
So there are as yet no confirmed cases in Africa, but the potential has been clearly demonstrated. However, the World Health Organization has now declared the coronavirus epidemic a public health emergency. As part of our initial response, the Port Health Services at the Federal Ministry of Health, and the Port Health Services being the competent public health authority at points of entry, both at international airports, seaports and land borders, is currently implementing measures at all legal borders to prevent importation of the coronavirus into Nigeria. While the risk of importation exists, we must assure Nigerians of our capacity to detect, assess and respond to this and other public health threats at points of entry. Ongoing surveillance at points of entry involves temperature detection with thermal scanners and visual observation of passengers who may have signs and symptoms of illness. Where any suspect cases are detected, the traveler is invited to step aside and the travel history is taken to ensure relevance to determining response.
Besides the health menace, another pressing concern has been highlighted by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo that some states are not self-sufficient because they receive allocation from the federal government. According to him, if states stop receiving allocations from the federal government, they will pull their weight. The Vice President was delivering a lecture to a National Defense College Course 28 in Abuja titled The Economic Dimension of National Security, the Nigerian Experience. He says there is a fundamental link between national security and economic security, and that the high levels of poverty and unemployment provide fodder for non-state actors and cause an increase in crime rates.
Thank you. The reason why states are not generating as much as they should is because there is something coming from the federal government every month. If there was nothing coming from the federal government, states will pull their weight. If the federal government itself did not have all revenues, we will pull our weight. If you look at what happened in the regions, in the old regions, the northern region, the eastern region, the western region, all of these regions in that period not only paid all of their bills from internally generated revenue, tax, agriculture, mostly. They paid all their bills. In Western region, for example, they had free education, over 1 million pupils at one point in time. They built roads all over the place, and they were spending only 50% of what they generated and paying 50% to the federal government. And all they were relying on was essentially tax and agriculture. Just tax, that's income tax of individuals and agriculture. Today, that's no longer the case. Very few states, including the federal government, are as aggressive in revenue generation. We're not as aggressive because whether we work or not, something will come from federal allocation. And that's why there is a need to ensure that we hold ourselves to account for revenue generation. This country, a country of this size, certainly can do far more than we're generating at the moment.
And talking about security, gunmen have abducted the district head of Gayari village, Alhaji Hassan Mohammed, and his son in Gumi local government area of Zamfara state. Some residents reportedly sustained injuries from gunshots after the bandits attacked the community, while many have left the village out of fear. The State Police Command spokesman, Shehu Mohammed, says in a statement that the gunmen stormed the village in the early hours of today and took the district head and his son to an unknown destination. The police tactical team attached to Operation Puff Adder, in collaboration with the military and some repentant bandits, have launched a manhunt to rescue the victims and arrest the perpetrators. And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Linda. Well, 2 regional water schemes are expected to commence operations in Anambra State by April this year. Governor Willie Obiano announced this when he inspected the Otuocha and Obizi-Oga regional water schemes, which are a partnership between the state government and the European Union. The Otuocha water scheme, which is sourced from Omambala River, will serve 3 communities in Anambra East, while the Obizi-Oga scheme will provide potable water to communities in Agwata local government area.
Eziagulu Aguleri, the nearest point to the Omambala River, is the site of the massive Otuocha Regional Water Scheme, which started about 7 months ago and is nearing completion. Arriving at the scene of the project, Governor Willie Obiano is excited about the collaboration between the Anambra State government and the European Union. According to the Commissioner for Public Utilities, the water treatment plant has the capacity to treat 10 million cubic meters of water per day.
From that treatment plant, it will go to an overhead water tank at Father Joseph's. That is about 400 cubic meters. From there, it's going to be reticulated through a total length of reticulation network of 5 kilometers.
The first phase of the project is expected to be completed in April and will serve 3 communities, while completion of the second phase is targeted for December 2020 at the latest.
It will be reticulated to the whole of Aguleri, the whole of Umweri, and the whole of Umwabana. Those 3 major communities will, at the first phase, benefit from this project, which will be completed in April. The second phase starts from April. That will move the water activities to another. The first phase is 3. The second phase is about 8 communities, and that one will be achieved before December.
Moving up to inspect the treatment plant, the European Union representative presents a detailed operation plan for water to be supplied to a 450 cubic meter tank.
The force of the water in the tanks itself into this large square tank, which is a 500 cubic meter capacity. When the water enters this tank, it is clean and it's ready to drink. From the tank, the water then passes through the pump house, where the pumps pump the water up the hill towards Otuocha Township.
Treated water is expected to move from the high tank for 5 kilometers and branch out in a network of pipes to benefiting communities.
Staying with infrastructure development, the federal government says it is concerned about demands for compensation by communities affected by ongoing road projects across Niger State, saying that it is slowing down the work. It therefore warns the state and local governments as well as community leaders in the areas to intervene in the matter. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who inspected some of the projects, gave assurances that the federal government will explore all funding opportunities to ensure completion of the project. Our correspondent Emperor Simon has more.
This was the situation on many federal roads in Niger State before the intervention by the federal government to seal potholes and resurface other parts that often lead to heavy traffic. This commitment shown by the federal government also brought the Minister of Works and Housing on an inspection tour of projects. The first of which is the dualization of the Diko Suleja Mina Road, where he encouraged locals to give maximum cooperation to the contractors. From there, he moves to Gurara local government to inspect Lambatalape Age Road and then to New Busa in Borgu local government area. Mr. Fashola assures contractors for the rehabilitation of New Busa Wawa Kayama Road that funding for the project will be handled promptly. It's perhaps the cue needed by the contractor to make his own promises.
Definitely we have the ability to do and the capacity to do much work.
It's a different scenario with the dualization of Jeba Mokwabukani Road, where complaints that demand for compensation of land by the locals is affecting the progress of work. A concern the minister hopes will be handled by the state governments and community leaders.
People here suggest that this community wants this road. You want the road? Yes. Yes, so you have to work with the local people, all the owners of land here, to donate the land.
Back in Mina, the state capital, Mr. Fashola inspects the ongoing construction of houses under the National Housing Project. Sales will soon commence for the first phase through an electronic buying system.
The people that we had in mind are the low income to low middle class families who can afford buy them, hopefully on a mortgage basis, and pay slowly.
As the minister departs Niger State, the citizens hope the ongoing projects will be completed to ease their burdens. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, OPEC oil output plunges to multi-year low in January following supply cut from key member countries. That's on Business News. Please join us again.